वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita, the way of the sovereign wisdom and sovereign mystery. Verse number 13. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashritah bhajanti manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. Here Lord Krishna says, who are the spiritual seekers who can realize him? Mahatmanastu, great souls, who are Arjun, who are endowed with divine nature, worship me with a single-minded devotion, knowing me to be the immutable and the source of all beings. So, Lord Krishna calls certain category of spiritual sadhakas as Mahatmas, great souls. These great souls are called by that name because they are endowed with divine nature. They have established well certain qualities required for the realization or experience of the Supreme Divine. The first one, which is very important in spiritual life, as Shankaracharya has pointed out, Viveka. You must have proper discrimination. It is very important. If you are not able to discriminate what is good, what is bad, what is real, what is unreal, how can you ever think of entering to spiritual path? So the very first foundation is discrimination. People who are very serious about spiritual life are determined to develop these qualities in their life. So it is the gradual unfolding of the ability to explore and discern the difference between the real and the unreal. Sat and Asat. Sat means real, Asat means unreal. So whatever we see, the world, it is in a way described as Asat, because this world is constantly changing and changing and changing. Keeps on changing until the whole universe dissolves. So its activity is continuous change. That is called Asat. Sat means unchangeable, ever existent, absolute reality. Even the whole universe may be dissolution, may be um, under the dissolution, but Sat means the absolute reality remains. That is the substratum of anything that we see is ever existent. Again the world is projected from the Sat. So Sat is the basis. That basis is called absolute reality. So, what is Nitya and what is Anitya? That is, what is permanent, what is temporary. In other words, what is self and what is not self. That is Atman and Anatman. Atman is reality. Anatman is that undergoes change and perishable. For example, our body, it undergoes change, it destroys in course of time. So, the mortal frame, the bodies which we live, are not permanent. In course of time, all the bodies will go. But that which is not dead is the Atman. The Atman is always existent. That is Nitya. So, the faculty of discrimination, Tikshna Buddhi, must be developed. So, these are the steps to get educated in a spiritual way. We have got master's degree, PhDs in worldly pursuits. I have PhDs in spiritual pursuit. Develop all these qualities. God Himself will give that certificate. Mahatma is already given. Mahatma. He is called Mahatma. So that is the first quality that the serious seekers who are stepping into spiritual path cultivate, and that is discrimination, viveka. Second one is vairagya. Vairagya, it means dispassion. It's also called as non-attachment. Attachment means your mind is fastened to the object of attachment. You can't lift that mind. It's too terrible to be away from attachment. The mother loves the child. It is attachment. The same mother doesn't love the neighbor's child in the same way as she loves her own child. So attachment is a negative force. It saps your mental energy. It creates friction, stress and strain in the mind. Attachment creates that. So, you can love the children 100 times more, not being attached. How? Feel that this child is the blessing by the Divine Lord, and it's my duty to take care of the child as carefully as possible. With that attitude, with divine orientation, it should be possible to love the child without being attached in the worldly sense. You are loving the child because of your attachment to God. You are attached to God because God dwells in the child. Krishna Himself tells that I am in the heart of everyone. So like that. So this vairagya is a natural byproduct of discrimination. There is a disease in attraction to the objects of the world, and the inner desires for those worldly fruits. It is a process of gently reducing the coloring of attractions and aversions in the inner field of mind. This dispassion doesn't mean abandoning one's responsibilities to other people or to fulfilling one's duties to society at large. One who has successfully cultivated non-attachment is actually more effective in the world, as well as more prepared for the subtleties of seeking truth. So, a positive approach means strength. You are inspired by the divine. So that is the source of your inspiration. And if you are non-attached, that gives you the opportunity to extend your love towards all the beings. Why would Swami Vivekananda came all the way from India to Western country? Without any friends, without money, without anything. Passing through very hardships, unimaginable hardships. Why? Because he loved the humanity. And he was very eager to serve the humanity in helping them to rise up from the morbid state into divine state. All the beings are really intrinsically divine. But because of the impurities of the mind, that divinity is covered up, and so people are suffering and suffering. Even though it is shown the cause of suffering, still people are unable to get over that suffering because of so many inhibitions. So, we should develop vairagya. That means not to be bothered by desires. Then, in sadhana chatushtaya, the disciplines are given which are to be cultivated by a person who wants to live spiritual life. There it is mentioned, shamadama shat sampatti. Most important. If a person possesses all these qualities, he can but be Mahatma. He will be certainly Mahatma. So, 6 virtues, areas of mental training and attitudes are cultivated so as to stabilize the mind and emotions, allowing the deep practice of contemplative meditation to be performed. So one quality is shama, that is tranquility. Tranquility. Intentional cultivating an inner attitude of tranquility, that is peace of mind or contentment, santrupti, is the foundation on which the other practices can rest. Santrupti. Be contented in whatever state, whatever situation you are placed with. Santushto yena kenachit. Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter. Santushto yena kenachit. He is ever contented in whatever situation, circumstances he is placed with. Then Dhamma. Dhamma means training of the senses, means the responsible use of the senses in positive, useful directions, both in our actions in the world and the nature of inner thoughts we cultivate. So Indriyas are the instruments given to us. God has given these senses to everyone. All the human beings are endowed with senses. But the freedom is given to you to make use of it properly. How to make use of it properly, that you should know. To know that process, you should come under the guidance of a good spiritual teacher whose life is based on morality and principles. So then you will understand and try to practice them. Generally, senses run after the objects. It is but natural. You don't have to be worried about that. It is very nature, the very natural senses to go, to run. That shows senses are very active. And to do spiritual sadhana, you need active senses. If you have got dull senses or diseased senses, what spiritual practice can you do? So they gave the example of horses. Race horses, they are very restive. It doesn't stand on 4 legs. It stands on 3 legs. One leg is little bent upwards. That is ready to jump and run anytime. Just one touch, it runs at 75 miles per hour. Very active. Because of that intense activity of the active nature of the horseman would be able to win the race. So here also, mind is a restive horse, and the embodied being, easy rider, control the horse and use it properly, run in proper direction. That is running towards the divine. Running towards the divine. In whatever way you want, it runs. So mind is your subordinate. That you should assert yourself properly and assert your mastership over the mind. Then the third quality is uparati. With a proper inner attitude of tranquility and the training of the senses, there also comes a sense of satiety or natural sense of completeness, as if no more of the sensory experience needed to be sought. The fourth one is titiksha, forbearance and tolerance of external situations. Allow one to be free from the onslaught of the sensory stimuli and pressures from others, to participate in actions, speech or thoughts that one knows to be going in a not useful direction. So one should develop tremendous patience and focused on the ideal. That's important. The next quality is Shraddha, an intense sense of certainty about the direction one is going keeps one going in the right direction, persisting in following teachings and practices that have been examined and seen to be productive, useful and fruit-bearing. Here we have got, fortunately, great incarnation, Sri Ramakrishna, Sharda Devi, Swami Vivekananda. Three great incarnations. It is unique if you just think over them. So Lord Vishnu and Shiva and the Adya Shakti, the divine power of the Lord, Sharda Devi. All these three have come. Why? Because this modern age is so terrible. People are so insensitive and too much of worldliness, too much of agnosticism, atheism, all sorts of things. So almost on the ruin. So seeing this horrible condition of humanity in this modern age of so-called scientific advancement, God has to incarnate in a special way in order to show the people through their lives how one should practice spirituality. If you read Sri Ramakrishna, Sharda Devi, Vivekananda life, it will show you how you have to conduct yourself in your daily activities. So, that's the way it is. So we should develop Shraddha, tremendous faith, dedication and devotion by following the teachings of the great men who have lived the life. So their teachings are lived by them. It is not fiction. Then samadhana means focus. Resolute focus towards harmonizing and balancing of mind, its thoughts, its emotions, along with the other virtues, brings a freedom to pursue the depth of inner exploration and realization. Then longing. Unless you have that deep yearning, Tivra Vyakulata, as Sri Ramakrishna used to have, he would go in front of the Mother Kali and with so much concentration he would pray to her, "Oh Mother, please reveal to me." His prayer was so intensified, so much longing to have the vision of the Mother. Of course, this longing was followed by deep meditation, maintaining purity in the mind, following all the disciplines. Then it paved the way. Finally, Sri Ramakrishna did see Divine Mother. He got into Samadhi, and the whole area, Dakshineshwar Kali temple, was filled with divine consciousness. There was nothing but divine consciousness. Seeing that, he was lost in Samadhi. Samadhi means his whole mind was fully manifested with the divine consciousness of the Divine Mother. So like that. So persons cultivating these qualities, stepping into spiritual path, they are called Mahatmas. Lord Krishna certifies them as Mahatma. And the Divine Lord himself comes running towards such people. That's the meaning of the verse number 13. Next, verse number 14. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantastu dృఢవ్రతాః namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Lord Krishna says, always glorifying me, striving, firm in vows, prostrating before me, they worship me with devotion ever steadfast. No shaking in their thinking. Well established in the qualities as described in the previous verse, and they feel joy in recollecting the glories of the Divine Lord. Such as Bhagavatam, where the Krishna Leela is described in detail, and story of Ramachandra in Ramayana, and life of Sri Ramakrishna in the modern days. So, trying to think over and over again their teachings. See, when I was in Calcutta as a brahmachari, 2 years training period, they give training to the brahmacharis. They give an idea of how to practice spiritual life. They teach scriptures, they teach Bhagavad Gita, they teach Sanskrit, all things in 2 years, how much they can complete, but they give an idea. There, the routine was morning after the Arati, after prayers, all the members staying in Belur, they would go to offer their pranams to the president of the Ramakrishna order. He will be sitting at the appointed time, all of us one by one, standing in queue. They go and touch his feet, take his blessings. And there will be always number of people sitting around this Swamiji, always. Somehow they come and they sit. And what Swamiji is talking? Whole day he is talking about Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother. Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother. I happened to see Vishuddhanandaji. Vishuddhanandaji, who became the president of the Ramakrishna order. I got brahmacharya from him, Vishuddhanandaji. He gave the name Gadadhar Chaitanya. I was so happy. I got Sri Ramakrishna's name. And I used to go and see, whole day he was talking about Holy Mother only. Whole day. Except lunch hour. Because people will be sitting. One batch will go, another batch will come, third batch will come. Tirelessly Swamiji speaks. And speaking how? Not in a dull voice. With full of enthusiasm, with full of inspiration. Inspiring them. And all of them will be blessed. So, that's the meaning of glorifying the Lord. Glorifying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when he was traveling towards south, in one of the temples, a gathering was there, and Bhagavad Gita chanting and class was going on. Lots of people were attending. In one corner, one fellow was sitting and weeping, shedding tears. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was curious. Why this man is shedding tears? All the other fellows are simply keeping their eyes opened. Why this particular person is weeping like that? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to him and asked him, why are you weeping? Oh Master, by hearing the katha, the pravachan, even by the teacher here, I am visualizing Lord Krishna in my mind, teaching Arjun. That gives me tremendous joy, inexplainable. So the joy is coming out in the form of tears. See? Just by hearing the glories of the Lord, this person is shedding tears. That's the meaning. And striving. That means he is at it. He does not loosen the discipline. And he is every day, day by day, he is becoming more and more disciplined. Like that. And very strict in following the teachings. Verse number 15. Jnani yajnena chapyanye idanto mam upasate ekatvena pritatvena bahudha vishvato mukham. Shri Krishna is telling various types of people in various ways of offering worship to Lord. In this verse he says, some people again offer the oblation of knowledge and worship me either as one with them or as distinct from them, and still others in various ways worship me whose form is the whole universe. That means they consider me as the Vishwatma, the Lord of the universe. So, Jnana Yajna, knowledge, that the pursuit of knowledge, knowledge of the Lord, that is compared to Yajna. Jnana Yajna it is called. Worshipping by this sacrifice of wisdom others, that is Brahmanishtas, those who are devoted to Brahman adore me with one-pointed devotion. They strictly follow the path of knowledge. They don't divert their attention to other forms of worship. There are so many forms of offering worship, but this group is focused on following the path of knowledge. So what do? Always studying the Upanishads, which deal with the Brahman. Another great Swamiji whom I came in contact, his name was Tapasyanandaji. He has written commentaries, Bhagavad Gita translations, and he has written translated Bhagavatam. Very great scholar. He was the head of Trivandrum, and then he became the head of Chennai, Madras Mutt. Then he became the vice president of the Ramakrishna order. So as a vice president, he would invite him to Bangalore. I was in Bangalore at that time. So there's a room for his staying, and at different times we would go and see him and sit with him and so on. Once I went, just simply I went inside. What Swamiji was doing at that time was reading Upanishad. He was reading Upanishad. All the time he will be reading Upanishad only. Morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night. Same thing in a different way, Yatish Swamiji. I used to go different timings to his room. Swami would He would never sit in the room without doing anything. If he is on the chair, he will be reading the book. If he is on the bed, he will be repeating God's name. Japa. And when I went there, he was reading on Brahmanji. So when he is sitting, he is reading Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, teachings of Brahmanji, and related books. If he is on the bed, he will be repeating God's name, Sri Ramakrishna's name. So that's the way. So the path of knowledge is like that. They are very certain that following this path of wisdom, they must arrive at the absolute reality. Some people worship with the knowledge of the real truth that one verily is the Parabrahman. Some worship with the knowledge that the Lord Vishnu himself exists as different beings, as sun, moon and the like. And the others worship him who exists in all forms, as they all faced with thinking that the one Lord exists in all the different forms, with his face on all sides. Worshipping the Lord as the one undivided pure consciousness is a way of Advaita, non-dualistic approach. They are all following the path of knowledge, but their approach is undivided pure consciousness. Adoring the Almighty as a distinct is a way of Dvaita, dualism. He is held as distinct from the Jagat and the Jivatman, the universe and the beings, both of these categories being dependent on him. That means the person who is following dualistic philosophy, he always adores the Supreme Divine Being as separate from himself. Third category, invoking Ishvara as the all-faced, is a way of Vishishtadvaita, or the qualified non-dualism. The universe and the beings in it are all the insentient and sentient aspects of the body of the Lord. It is for this reason he is called the all-faced. In whatever way the Lord is worshipped, it is acceptable to him. Whether you follow dualistic approach or non-dualistic approach or qualified non-dualistic approach, whatever way you approach God, it is acceptable to him. These several ways of understanding the Lord by the devotees are all the respective jnana yajnas, or sacrifice of knowledge. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, whatever be your concept of God, whatever be it with form or formless, hold fast to it and ardently worship him. If you are accepting Krishna's form, go ahead, worship him wholeheartedly. You will achieve the goal. But be not conceited that your concept alone of him is the final. In the course of your sadhana, you will come to know by his grace that his attributes and forms are inexhaustible. Inexhaustible. No count on the divine forms. That's the meaning. Infinite forms. Anantarupi Paramatma, Anantarupa. That's why we sing the song of the Divine Mother also, Anantarupini. How true it is. Such vast options are given to us. Take any divine form, worship. But don't say that there is the only truth, the others are wrong. Don't enter into the debate. The moment you enter into debate, your spirituality will go. Now, first you realize God, then if God permits you, you open your mouth. Other you shut up. Hold on to God Himself. Use all your energy to realize Him. That's how Shri Krishna says. Let us stop at this point. We shall continue next Tuesday. Come and see Chicago, which was blessed by Swami Vivekananda's lotus feet. So please bring all your friends. Each one of you should bring 10. Here 10 people are there. 10 to 10, 100 will be. At least 5 you can bring each one of you, 5 friends. Don't hesitate. Force them to come. See, spiritual ideas, in the beginning they are like medicine. But it is required. Otherwise, how do you treat the worldly ways? Treatment is required, no? Worldly thinking, worldly ways is also a disease. Bhavaroga, it is called. So God is called Bhavaroga Vaidya. So when you know very definitely that you are suffering from worldliness, should you not think that you should take treatment to cure that instead of suffering and suffering? Oh, I am worldly, I am family man, I have got children. What is that if you have children? Nobody is outside the world, we are all in the world only. But how you should live in the world, that is important. The boat may be on the water, water should not be in the boat. Like the Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel. Like that we should live or conduct our life. We have come to this life for realizing God, not for anything else. Anyway, it helps them also. That's your duty. I have done my duty. Rest is with God. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. If you have that attitude, Nishkam Bhav, with the idea of helping a person, helping a friend, come on, instead of going to tea club and lose your head, come here and you will have wonderful ideas which stir up your mind. Like we should tell them and bring them. Alright, thank you very much. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish Dharma and punch the wicked. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.